When I'm not fixing my grandmother's DVR so she can stare lustfully at the old man on NCIS, I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube. So let's get to it. When are you going to teach us how to smash a guitar across an adversary's back like the Honky Tonk Man? So if you don't know, the Honky Tonk Man was a professional wrestler from the early 90s whose finishing move was taking like an Epiphone Masterbuilt and just crushing someone over the back of the head with it. He was kind of like a buff Elvis-looking guy, and he's responsible for a lot of my early childhood nightmares. As far as when I'm going to teach how to smash a guitar over an adversary's head, I think it'll be as soon as I have an adversary. Sadly, in life, I've yet to meet like an adversary or nemesis. So as soon as I get one, I'll let you guys know. Maybe someday I can like challenge Marty Shorts to like a cage match, something like that. Hello, Daniel, my last name. I see some chords like D07, D+7, D-7, and such. What do these mean? Really good question. These are chord symbols that are a little bit old school. You don't see them around too much. But what they mean, so let's see, the D07, the 0 is actually shorthand for like a degree symbol. What that means is a D diminished chord, D07 being D diminished 7, so you'd have a flat 5 in that chord. Now a minus just means minor, right? So a D minus would be a D minor, a D minus 7 would be a D minor 7. D plus, what that would mean is anything augmented, so anything with a raised fifth, right? So here's a D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 away from D is an A. So if you have a D chord with an A sharp, that would be like an augmented chord, so a D plus. There's also a D triangle, which is short for major 7, and also the seldom used D $ emoji 7, which is shorthand for any D chord played on the current Guns N' Roses tour. What is your job? Might have already gone over that. Actually, I don't think I've really talked about it, but essentially this is it. I am a pretty much full-time private music instructor. I've got like 25 to 30 lessons a week. Most of them are like kids, like junior high, high school range. Most of them are guitar, but I also do like piano and like drums and stuff like that. And it's like the best job in the world, hands down. I've been doing it pretty much full-time now for like 4 or 5 years. And really, I think I'm like the luckiest guy in the world. I have the sweetest job. All my students are amazing. It's really just kind of like hanging out and playing music and getting paid to do it. So I definitely recommend, if you feel like you're in an area that can support something like that, get into teaching, because it like is a really awesome career to be in, and it also kind of gives me time to kind of work on different projects. So even though all my income isn't teaching, every now and then I'll kind of like just pick up different gigs doing stuff like that. I have kind of like a high-end home recording studio that I kind of do a lot of projects out of, but it's cool because I can only really do things, I only do things that I really want to do, and that's all because of teaching. So yeah, basically a full-time teacher. Do you have any favorite YouTubers that you like to watch? What about other music YouTubers? Yeah, basically most of the YouTube stuff I watch is music related, unless they're animal attack videos. If you're into jazz guitar, you should check out Jens Larsen, who's like a beast player who does awesome kind of like jazz lessons. I like Rob Chapman a lot, and like the stuff he does with Andertons and like the Captain stuff. Those guys do the best demos. I like Rob Scallon's stuff a lot. I think my favorite teacher on YouTube is actually Paul Gilbert. I think the Paul Gilbert videos are awesome. He's just got such a great enthusiasm for guitar, stuff like that. Glenn Frickard and Spectre Sound stuff, if you're into recording, check him out. He's kind of like a funny guy, a little bit crass sometimes, but everything he says is basically the truth. Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing like a lot of good guitar stuff. I kind of feel like I have a huge hole of good guitar channels in my YouTube list, so if you guys know of anybody that I'm missing, hit me up, because I'm sure there's like a ton of stuff out there that I just don't know about. Also, Ben Eller, if you're into like awesome, just like funny guitar instruction, Ben Eller is the man. I think he's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, but that's pretty much the main ones that I listen to, but yeah, please hit me up with any suggestions. I have another question for you. How would you say your enjoyment of music has changed, given that you have a full grasp on music theory and concepts? Have you had any examples of bands or songs that you now don't listen to or enjoy in the same way as you did before you understood the method better? Thanks for the great content. So this is an interesting question, because I think a lot of people have this idea that like maybe if they learn music theory, it's gonna like change what they do somehow, or kind of like screw them up. Like I've heard people use that as an excuse to actually not try to learn it, because they don't want to screw up kind of like their style and what they do. And just from my own personal experience, I feel that like learning music theory hasn't really changed what I listen to or how I listen to things really much at all. anyways, that I notice consciously. I think everybody's taste kind of evolves just as they get older, so I kind of am getting into more genres of music, so that could be one thing. Maybe I can kind of like see through the genre and just kind of like appreciate a piece of music for what it is. But consciously, I don't really feel like my taste has changed. The one thing that has changed a lot is my writing, and it's definitely changed for the better, because I can still kind of write the way I did, where I would just kind of like hunt and peck around and try to get what I was hearing without applying the theory. But it's only a positive, because if I ever get stuck, or if I just want to give myself other options, I always have the theory that I can fall back on now. Because again, I kind of got into theory late. Like I played guitar for like 8-10 years before I even really started picking up theory at all. So yeah, definitely everybody could benefit from music theory. It's not going to screw you up. It's only going to help. And just for me personally, it hasn't really changed the way I enjoy music, but it's been a positive nonetheless. Hi, well, I have a question. Have you done or know someone that can explain how to work with tempo changing? I mean changing beat, changing the BPM. It has some kind of technical background, or we have to have good judgment. So tempo changing is an interesting thing, and I think when you're getting into songwriting and kind of listening to music for the first time, you might think that it's actually more common than it is. For a song to actually change tempos within the course of the whole song running is actually kind of rare, like more rare than you think. Like if you hear a song kind of slow down, what you might actually just be hearing is less notes being played and more space, right? I think it's easy to kind of misjudge a slowing of a tempo for just like a break in the music and kind of like a different vibe. But if you do want to practice with tempo changes, I think having like a computer software recording program is the best way to do it. It's kind of, I know there are some metronomes that you can kind of program to kind of go up and down, but I think like for me, I use a program called Logic, which is like a Mac recording software. And the cool thing is you can take a project and kind of cut it into things, like maybe like this section will be at 120, this section is at 100. You can also have it gradually slow down or speed up, because I think executing a tempo change within a band is like a really hard thing to do unless you have a super solid drummer that everybody can lock into. So being able to experiment with different tempos is a good thing to do, but I think it is probably a little less common than you might actually think. Do you like Wilco? Wilco is a band that has always been on my radar in one way or another. They're kind of the pride and joy of Chicago, my hometown. And I always kind of thought they were hit and miss in their early stuff. Like Yankee Hotel Foxtrot has some awesome songs on it, but there's also stuff that I thought was maybe a little too weird that I didn't like. Jesus, Etc. definitely being a song that has been on my coffee shop set list for a long, long time. But I think they're a really great band who has gotten better as they've gotten older. I almost kind of feel like Jeff Tweedy was meant to be an old man just making awesome music. And their newest album is just fantastic. Like I've listened to it probably like 6 times this week just on repeat. It's something that's awesome to have in the background that isn't distracting. It's just very chill and great songwriting in general. So I am a big fan of Wilco, especially recent Wilco. Again, another band that's just getting better with age. So for listening homework this week, we're going with the Wilco song. We're not going off of the new album, we're going off of the previous album called Star Wars, and this is a song called Cold Slope, which is a great example of a song that kind of has a meandering lead guitar line that still kind of fits pretty well in a tight pocket of a band. So definitely listen to that, listen to the new album, and even just explore the back catalog too if you don't know them that well. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, hit me up and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Thank you.